Okay, today's video is going to have spoilers. I just got to give it to you straight. Okay, there's going to be some stuff I want to talk about in today's video about the future of the Marvel Spider-Man franchise, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody that hasn't 100% completed the game. So you have been warned about some spoilers we're going to get into in today's video, because we're going to talk about a potential tease for DLC that could be coming for Marvel Spider-Man 2. If not DLC, this could even be a tease for what we can expect in Marvel Spider-Man 3. Nevertheless, some really exciting news if you ask me. Okay, so as you may remember, Bryan Intihar over at Insomniac Games has been doing a bit of a press run for Marvel Spider-Man 2, talking about spoilers for the game. He did a spoiler cast for Kind of Funny, he did a spoiler cast for GameSpot, and as well for IGN. Want to check out the full spoiler cast with Bryan Intihar? It's going to be linked in the description box below. I just wanted to point out a couple of key things that hint towards the future of Marvel Spider-Man, but I also want to point out a portion of my interview actually with Bryan Intihar. Towards the end of it, I got to ask him some spoiler-filled questions. First of all, I talked to him about playable Venom, so I know a lot of people have been very excited about this. It was my last episode of Let's Play. I was so hyped that we got to play as the character, and well, I asked him about it, so let me just quickly roll for you what he had to say.
I'm not very smart, but I'm not dumb enough to ship a Spider-Man game featuring a symbiote and not having Venom playable. And I think it was something we talked about really early on. We committed to it really early. How much he was going to be playable, how it was going to be playable was something we worked on for a long time. A lot of us were thinking, like, how do we top the Sinister Six reveal? And I was like, well, maybe playable Venom is the thing that kind of is that turning point, right? And that's something you got to give a credit to the team, the team of Shane McCloskey, Ben Arfman, multiple animators, programmers, and a lot of people who were in charge of that mission and worked on that mission. It was multiple people. Too many I could list here. They knew the expectations, right? They knew, like, you're gonna make Venom playable, he better be freaking cool. Yeah. So, you know,
cool. It was very cool.
It was a really cool emotional moment when finally Venom arrives, and then there's like it's like a power fantasy. It's like, we're just gonna be a freaking symbiote badass.
That's right. Thank you very much once again to PlayStation Canada for setting up that whole interview with Bryan. It was so much fun. But you know, I also asked him about some other stuff. I asked him about a very specific side mission that takes place in Marvel Spider-Man 2 that looks to be setting up something huge. And I mean, in terms of the symbiote, it looks like based on a side quest that I played, that story doesn't end with Venom.
It might not, you know, just like a good MCU movie, there's always little things here and there.
Little thing, little nuggets.
I mean, you look at, you know, we always start with the comics, right? And I think comics do a good job of kind of leaving those little Easter eggs or, you know, possibilities of things that could happen. So yeah, there's more stuff. Possibly.
Amazing. And indeed, the Flame is actually the name of the leader of the cult. And yes, it's Cletus freaking Cassidy. And at first playing through this, I was like, there's no way they're actually gonna do this. There's no shot they're gonna go full Carnage with this side mission. I couldn't believe it. I was just so sure of it. As sure of it as I am right now that you're scrolling down and hitting the like button right now on the video.
Before you and I met, one of my Embers told me about his work at Oscorp and this treatment that they had discovered. Who cares, right? A fancy suit that can make you big and strong is just another case of the unworthy trying to cheat death and play God.
Oh my God!
That's what I thought too. And Oscorp sent out some of this treatment for safekeeping.
They're doing this. That's disgusting, by the way.
I knew it was meant for me. And when the crimson hour rolls over this earth, it shall bring truth, judgment, and carnage.
So it looks like the symbiote storyline in some way, shape, or form is not done as of what we saw from the events of the end of Marvel Spider-Man 2. And instead, we're going to see a potential Carnage, maybe DLC, or maybe Carnage showing up in Marvel Spider-Man 3. I'm leaning towards, though, that we're gonna get a big DLC expansion for Marvel Spider-Man 2, and it's all about going maximum carnage. And the main reason why I think this is simply for the fact that it makes a lot of sense to wrap up the whole symbiote storyline within this one game, rather than have it linger, rather than have it be something that carries over into Spider-Man 3, and also rather than having Carnage be like a side villain and not the main villain of the game, you do a full DLC expansion where Carnage is the main threat. And then that way we put everything symbiote related to bed by the end of Marvel Spider-Man 2, and then focus on Green Goblin for Spider-Man 3. But you see, there might even be more that could be coming out of a Carnage expansion. There might be more that could come out of DLC for Marvel Spider-Man 2 that I don't think anybody would have expected. As some of you may remember, there is a cool little Easter egg in Hell's Kitchen from Spider-Man PS4 that is Nelson and Murdoch's law firm. You can also get through one of the backpacks a collectible that's their business card. So yes, you know, Daredevil exists in some way within the universe that Insomniac has created here for Marvel Spider-Man. Weirdly enough though, if you go to that same spot in Hell's Kitchen, you'll notice that, well, the sign is missing. It looks like Nelson and Murdoch has been vacated. And while a lot of people can chalk this up as maybe that was a glitch, it's just the Nelson and Murdoch sign is empty now, so it could have been just a visual bug. IGN decided, let's ask Bryan Intihar this question, and he had a very, very interesting answer. Roll the clip.
One of our gameplay editors noticed Nelson and Murdoch's sign is gone. Is that intentional, or is that just oops?
Are they okay?
Yeah. Did they break?
Maybe did they upgrade? We just haven't found their bigger building.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of us, I worked remotely almost the whole project. So yeah, that's a good question. Stay tuned.
Okay.
Yeah.
There,
Good find though.
He takes a long pause to think about what he can possibly say here. And I feel like he took so long of a pause that inevitably people were going to speculate about that. So he just had to throw out something. And Bryan Intihar says, that's a good catch. Stay tuned. Now, in Fantasy World, in Dreamland, Bryan Intihar is teasing that maybe Insomniac's working on a Daredevil game. But my big game theory about this right now is that I do think that Daredevil could be showing up in a potential DLC expansion for Marvel Spider-Man 2. You see, with The City That Never Sleeps, not only did it bring in new villains like Hammerhead, but also we brought in some allies, or I guess you could say an anti-hero, whatever you want to call her. Technically, you could say she is an ally to Spider-Man, Black Cat. I think Insomniac has this thing going where they do a DLC expansion for the game, and not only does it feature some new villains, but also some new heroes. And on top of that, in Marvel Spider-Man 2, there are several moments where you get to team up with another hero, anti-hero, whoever. I think we could see Daredevil featured in some way, shape, or form in DLC for Marvel Spider-Man 2 and play on this whole concept of teaming with another Marvel hero, or just teaming with another hero in general when you face off against a group of enemies. But instead, it will be Spider-Man and Daredevil together. How sick would that be? I mean, who remembers the 90s animated series, seeing Daredevil teaming up with Spider-Man? All that stuff is so good. I love seeing those two together, and I would be really excited to see what Insomniac's take is on Daredevil. Let's take it even a step further. If you complete all of the Sandman side missions throughout the open world, there's actually a line of dialogue, either as Peter or as Miles at the end of it, that makes reference to the fact that Peter knows Nelson and Murdoch. He knows these lawyers that can maybe help Sandman. And that's how narratively we can try and tie things together. Wrap up the Sandman storyline by having Peter reach out to Matt Murdock and say, hey, I need your help with this. And then next thing you know, he springs into action when Carnage comes to town to help out Spider-Man. I don't know, maybe the tinfoil hat's on real tight here, but I do genuinely think that we're going to be getting DLC for Marvel Spider-Man 2. I feel like it's a no-brainer. Either way, Insomniac is cooking up a lot, because Bryan Intihar also teased during this IGN interview, or at least pointed out, if you go to Fisk Tower, or what was originally Fisk Tower, it's now the Baxter Building. And what's crazy is, when I tweeted out this Easter egg, Bryan replied to me with a GIF that said, that's really interesting. So what's going on here, okay? Insomniac, you guys are working on a Fantastic Four game, all right? Is Daredevil and the Fantastic Four going to show up in DLC for Spider-Man 2? Are we really opening up the floodgates for other Marvel heroes within this Insomniac universe now that we know that Wolverine and Spider-Man are in a connected, shared universe? Tell me Tell me what's happening. I need to know now. Insomniac, they're cooking up something and it smells freaking good. And with that being said, let me now kick it to you guys. Sound off with your thoughts in the comments section below. What do you think about all of this? Do you think that we're going to be getting DLC for Spider-Man 2? Do you think it's going to feature Carnage, or is he going to be saved for the next game? And then lastly, what's going on with Daredevil? What's going on with the Baxter building? I want to hear all your thoughts in the comments. And obviously, if we're getting anything new for Spider-Man 2 in the future, I will keep you guys covered right here on this channel. Make sure you keep it locked. Subscribe, turn on those notifications. I got you covered. With that being said, I've been Caboose, and I'll see you guys later.